Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Screenstars. I'm here today to bring you my review for the 2022 science fiction drama Rubicon, a film that is directed by, and I do hope I get this name right, Magdalena Lorich, and it stars Julie Franz Richter, George Blagden, and Mark Evanier. Now, the film is set some years in the future. I think it's 2065, something like that. The world is already struggling in regards to the environment, all this kind of stuff. No surprise there. Corporations have taken over, so on and so forth. And the film is set on like a space station that is orbiting the Earth. And on this space station are like a set of scientists. And their job is to try and look for a solution for the world in regards to solving the problems of the environment and things like that. So I think there's three people on this space station and they kind of take turns. So you'll be on there for, I don't know how long it is, 6 to 12 months, and then someone will come up and take your place, so on and so forth. So this new set of people turn up at the space station, establish themselves up there, and then a tragedy takes place on Earth. There is some kind of toxic cloud that emerges and that covers the planet and essentially it wipes everybody out. So they're left up on this space station, obviously distraught about what has happened, not knowing really what to do, and constantly trying to contact Earth to look for survivors. Eventually they realise there might be a glimmer of hope, but the only way they can get that glimmer of hope down to Earth is by taking the research that they've been doing on the space station, this algae that they've been working on, getting it back down to Earth in the hope that they can help a group of survivors. Right, what are my thoughts on Rubicon? Well, this film has got some strong production values behind it. It has got some good effects. It feels grounded enough to feel like what you're watching is fairly genuine. The science involved, while I'm sure is complete and utter twaddle, and I'm sure the scientists that might watch this or people that know what they're talking about in this film and say it's utter rubbish. But in layman's terms, to someone that doesn't understand any of that, it all seemed fairly plausible. The things that they were doing on this space station, I call it a PlayStation. So the setup's fairly strong, really. I think the issue that most people, and to be fair, I probably had with this film, is its slow, deliberate pace. This is not what you would describe as an exciting science fiction film. It definitely leans very, very heavily into the dramatic side of things. But what it does do, and does do quite well, this film, is raise a lot of moral dilemmas. Because essentially the moral dilemma they've got, really, is how do they kind of help Earth? What can they do? Initially, it feels completely hopeless, all this kind of stuff. And then they do make contact with a small group of survivors, and they feel like they've got a responsibility because they can help them, because the research they've been doing up on the space station has kind of found a solution. Not a solution to like cure the planet, but maybe to sort of help, small pockets of survivors and stuff. Because they're running out of oxygen, so this algae that they've been producing on this space station can really help with that situation. But they are also they're presented with a major moral dilemma, really, because these survivors down on Earth have kind of done something that is really quite questionable. So it leads to conflict on the space station. What would you do in this scenario? You've got some that really want to help, and you've got others that don't. You've got some also on this space station that are so distraught by what has happened or happening that, they're almost suicidal because of it. So needless to say, this film is not a happy, jolly film to watch. It deals with some deep, dark issues, but it also deals with some really complex situations and things like that. So, while initially, early on in this film, I think I was about 25-30 minutes into the film, and it's quite long, this film. It's nearly 2 hours long, which I think is too long, if I'm honest. But about 30 minutes into this film, I was kind of like, this is dragging a bit. And then I checked to see how long was left to go, and there was like an hour and a half left or something like that. And my heart sank a little bit, because I'm kind of thinking, what else is there to do in this film? We know the situation they're in, they know the scenario we're in. How are they going to drag this out for another hour and a half? And that is kind of a major problem for the film, because they do kind of stretch it out thinly over the runtime here. And I feel as though they tread over similar ground a couple of times in regards to suicide and, this constant almost conflict between the three people on the space station. I mean, at one point early on in the film, when it all actually happens, they look like they're having a great time, and it seems like all there is to do on the space station is watch movies, drink alcohol, and fornicate. And they seem to have kind of accepted their sentence almost, you know what I mean? But accepting it a little bit too easily. So it is well made, this film. There are good, strong performances by everybody. And it feels believable as well, because one of the guys is British, one is she German, I think she is, and the other guy Russian, it might be, something like that. So they've got like this real mix of cultures and all that kind of stuff going up on the space station. So it does feel like a genuine situation. It feels like, like a combined effort from different nations on this space station, all that kind of stuff. So good performances. It's well made. It's got good production values. Raises some interesting questions, but unfortunately, it's a little bit dull. The film. It is a little bit of a slow-paced film that doesn't really give an awful lot of excitement. It just raises a lot of issues, moral dilemmas, really. So I'm going to give this one a 5.5 out of 10. I just don't think everybody watching this will come out of it thinking that was a fun experience, because it doesn't. It's a fairly somber mood of a film, dealing with some dark issues, and it is pretty slow-paced at the same time. So that's why I'm going to give this one a 5.5 out of 10. It's not badly made or anything like that. It's just, like I say, a little bit of a dull watch. So thanks for watching, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this review. I'll be back with more reviews and content on the channel very, very soon.